Before a product market fit, I call it a pitch market fit.
Pitch market fit. You got to tell us more.
Do you have a vision and a story and an ROI that market really needs? So for example, if I were to meet you in a hallway and say that, Adam, here's my offering. Are you interested in buying it or not? I didn't show you the product, nothing. I just talked about it, right? And if you're like, yeah, I'm excited. Tell me more. Show me. At that point, I know that I have a pitch market fit.
This episode fired me up. That was the CEO of Eightfold AI. They've raised almost $400 million. Before you try to solve for product market fit, do you have pitch market fit? If you've been an entrepreneur for more than a year, or if you've ever hit product market fit, you know the difference. You say something and people are like, oh, that's it. You show them the product and it's an assumptive close. That's getting to pitch market fit. You can do it way before you have the product nailed. Ashutosh tells the story of how they were able to do that at Eightfold AI. It's a great episode. You're going to learn a lot. Boom. Hey, welcome to Sit Down Startup Founder Podcast. I'm your host, Adam O'Donnell, former founder and VC. I now work at Zendesk for Startups, where we offer 6 months free use of Zendesk for qualified high growth companies. Welcome to Sit Down Startup Podcast. Super excited to have you here and sharing your story at Eightfold AI. You've raised a lot of money, but for anyone who doesn't know, could you tell us what Eightfold AI does and maybe how big you are right now in terms of fundraising or employees?
Thank you. Super excited to be here today. I'm Ashutosh Garg, the CEO, co-founder of Eightfold AI. We started the company in 2016 with the mission of enabling the right career for everyone in the world, very focused towards solving for employment. Today, we have built a talent intelligence platform that is used by numerous Fortune 100 companies across the globe to hire, retain, and grow a diverse workforce.
Very cool. Can you tell us how many employees you have?
Oh, yes. We are around 700 employees distributed globally. We have raised around $400 million from some of the leading venture capitalists in the world.
Congratulations. This is going to be really cool. So everyone now knows, like, you have made it to the top of the mountain in a lot of ways, metaphorically. In the very beginning days when you first started, were you doing the same thing that you're doing now? Is the product in the same category?
Product is in the same category, and largely, but at a very high level, it's still the same vision. But of course, as you start growing, you expand, you go deeper, you refine things. So that has happened, but high level, it's still the same product, same category.
Very cool. It's interesting to see how many pivots there are. It's probably, I feel like 1 in 5 that I talk to have like a massive pivot where it's like pretty much doing something different. But a lot of the really successful companies that I've talked to on this show didn't have a big pivot and they never pivoted from the vision. That's really cool. Well, help us for those founders who are out there right now. Maybe it's their 2017, maybe it's a year after they got started, and they're in kind of a discouraging time right now. For whatever reason, maybe the product market fit hasn't hit like they wanted or whatever. But if you could share maybe a low moment that you had in your journey to get to where you are now.
I would say more than low moments, there have been a lot of scary moments. When COVID hit US, being in the space where you are selling a software that is meant to be used for hiring purposes, and everyone around you is laying off people, or hiring is slowed down, it is a very, very scary feeling to have, right? Will you really have a market or not? We always had this thesis from day one that we are going to be resilient to market ups and downs. But until you have gone through it, you don't know whether it is really the case or not. So fortunately, it worked out well for us. We had to make some adjustments, expand the product footprint, but that has worked out really, really well for us. Second is, in the early days, we did iterate on the few business models. So that was a little bit tough.
Yeah.
Third is, and while Adam, this is not directly your question, but might be interesting for the audience. What I find is that as a founder, one of the hardest things for me has been, or for most founders, is understanding when it is a product market fit issue, it is an execution issue, or something else. So let's say you build a product and you're selling and you're not able to sell it, right? From outside, it's very simple to say, oh, do you have a product market fit or not? Maybe the issue is that you don't have product market fit and you need to change your product and offering. Or maybe product is good, but your business model is wrong. Maybe product is good, business model is wrong, but the way you're selling is wrong. It could be any of those things, right? And unless you're able to hone down exactly what is the issue. You may change your product, even though your product was good, your selling was wrong. Or you may keep pounding on it and your selling is right, but your product is wrong, right? And as a founder, you're constantly making those calls in this journey. And those to me are scary moments as well.
This is really interesting. I was a founder for about 8 years, and I had similar questions because it's really easy for a sales team to use product market fit, or early sales employees to use not having product market fit as an excuse for not hitting their number. And you're saying it could be true, but you as a founder have to go and determine if it is or if it isn't.
You have to make a call, and a lot is hanging on that call. So it's more around that people ask you, expect you to have that brilliance to know the answer to everything, and you don't have those answers.
100%. What have you done to get those answers?
I think the way, simply put, try to be as intellectually honest as possible with yourself. What I try to do is have strong opinions on one side, have conviction, but at the same time, constantly talking to the people, going to the field, trying to learn what's happening. So if you're not confident about yourself, you won't go anywhere. But at the same time, if you are overconfident and not listening to the market, you won't go anywhere either. So you have to strike the right balance.
Yeah, I know that's a huge challenge. When did you feel like you first hit product market fit, and how did you know?
I think it's just a journey. And it's very easy to know that you don't have product market fit. I mean, if you're not able to sell after a lot of iterations, changes and everything, you don't have product market fit. Sure, you can move on from that, right? But the bigger issue is that you can't rest on your laurels and say that now I have product market fit. Because the market is constantly evolving, your competition is constantly evolving, the needs of the market are changing, right? So key thing is that can you keep up with that those changes or not? And if you can, so don't just focus on product market fit, but how are you going to maintain that over time?
Yeah, it's getting there in the beginning.
It's getting there, and it's a journey. And what you're constantly trying to do is that how do you improve your sales efficiency? How do you improve your customer retention? How do you improve your customer value, right? ROI.
Yeah. Is there a specific story that you could give us in the beginning days where you, on that journey of product market to getting to product market fit and maintaining it, is there a story where you could share where maybe you had a conversation with a customer, or you were looking at the numbers and it seemed like something cool was happening that you could kind of take us into?
I think it was more around, like, fortunately in the early days, came across some customers who were comfortable banking on us, betting on us. And one of them was this large customer out of India. We signed them up very early in our life cycle, and high level vision resonated with them. The story resonated. But then I still remember vividly that I came back to office and said that we need to make this customer successful, no matter what it takes. And if we make them successful with the right product offering, then we will have a huge market in front of us. So it's taking few customers, but then pounding on it and making sure that they are getting the value, they are getting all the satisfaction, right? The use cases are getting solved. And until you have done it, you're not there. Yeah. So we kept pounding on it. I still remember, like, for months, we would have these late night calls because the customer was in India. And interesting thing is that the counterpart over there would keep on asking all kind of things every day. I want this feature, I want this functionality. And I still say that that was one of the hardest customers ever. 2 years later, that individual joined us and became our employee. So it has been an interesting story on that one.
That is very interesting. I'd love to dive into that customer example, because did you feel like on the product market fit scale, did you feel like you didn't really have it before this one customer? So this is like right before that?
So the second concept that I do talk a lot about is before a product market fit, I call it a pitch market fit. Do you have a vision and a story and an ROI that market really needs? So, for example, if I were to meet you in a hallway and say that, Adam, here's my offering, are you interested in buying it or not? I didn't show you the product. Nothing. I just talked about it, right? And if you're like, yeah, I'm excited, tell me more, show me. That at that point, I know that I have a pitch market fit.
That
Now
is good.
I go and tell my product PM and engineer that come follow me. This pitch is resonating with the customer. They really want to buy this thing. So now can we go and implement and deliver what we talked about? And if we can, then now we have a product market fit as well. So break down the sequencing first. It's not about your product. It's about the value prop to the customer. It's their problem, right? So first nail it down. Can you solve it? Talk about their problem and can you solve it in a way that they'll be excited about? And if yes, next step is, can you build that product and technology that will actually solve what you talked about?
I love the way you broke that down because I've experienced both. When I was a founder, I remember just like we were selling to university administrators at colleges in the US primarily. And we had a couple different products that we were trying to sell to them and we never had pitch market fit. And you see the difference on someone's face when you're at a conference or you just had a call with them or you're in person and you shared it with them and they're like kind of shaking their head, but they kind of have the big eyes.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't think they actually get it. Versus the one where they're just like, oh yeah, well, they ask like the follow, like, when can we meet? When can we talk? When is it ready?
And especially as a technologist, right? So in my previous life, I was an engineer, builder, right? So it was like, I can build it. The issue is not whether I can build it or not. The issue is what I'm building. Are people excited about it or not, right? So let me first solve for that. And then, yeah, fine, I will take 2 months and build it, right?
That is really cool. Well, can you tell us about the moment when you pitched, you felt like you had the pitch market fit with this specific customer that you said's in India? Were you there in person or was it on Zoom?
I was just there for a family visit. Happened to meet by chance this prospect. A friend had introduced, showed up over there, had a 5-minute spiel. And they were like, that sounds really cool. Can you show it to us? And at that moment, I knew that there's something real over here, right? And then, of course, they were like, can you do this and do this and this? And the answer was, of course, I can do all that. Let me go figure it out. Implemented many of those things.
Wow.
I think, in the first 5 minutes with the customer, do you really have that fit or not, right? Otherwise, you're just banging on a door which is not going to open for you.
That's amazing. Can you share what that line was? Like, was it like a 1-sentence kind of thing that you could share, that maybe the actual thing?
I think, yeah, no, absolutely. In our space, the issue was this, right? Every customer, any enterprise you go and talk to, right? Everyone has a hiring problem. I can't hire people fast enough. And the pitch was, through AI, I can learn what is working well in your organization or not. What kind of talent is succeeding in your organization or not, right? And if I were to use that AI to identify each and every one of your applicants and see who is going to be a great fit for you, or so that instead of you going through millions of resumes, right, you can focus on the key people, right? And spend time interviewing, talking to them. Would that be of value to you? Or you remember the last time you told a candidate that we don't have an opening for you right now, but we will get back to you as and when we have an opening? You probably have never done that because you don't have time and bandwidth to go through those millions of profiles that are sitting in a database. But people are still the same. If I can help you identify those people quickly, would that be of interest to you? And guess what? Even if you were to hire 10 people out of that, you will save hundreds of thousands of dollars. And the answer was like, makes sense. It's like almost like a no-brainer. Is it harder for you to hire people from within your own company versus outside? How often your own employees are able to identify what are the open jobs for them easily? Do you have a good mechanism for that? So I think that part was very simple and obvious to enterprises. They were like, yeah. The question is, can you do it?
And you as a builder, we're like, we can figure that out.
In fact, I still remember one of the very interesting things from my previous company. And as we talked about it, in that case, it was around search engine optimization and web search. The customer was, but does it work what you're saying? And it was our first customer. So of course, we don't know whether it will work or not, right? So we told the customer, we don't know, but we'll try our best. And a few years later, we asked the same customer, why did you buy the product from us? And he was like, where will I find 5 people who are really top-notch engineers in the Silicon Valley who are going to work day in, day out to solve my problem, to make it work? So what have I got to lose? Like, I'm just paying them $20,000 or so, right?
They got a deal.
Exactly. So key thing is that focus on customer's problem. Don't make it about your product. Don't make it about your story. Make it about the customer, their problem, their pain point.
That is so good. And the reason we started this show is to understand the early growth strategies. But what I've consistently found is that once you have the product market fit, both pitch market fit and then the product market fit has actually been accomplished, they're happy, everything's good. The growth channels are kind of a byproduct that happens from that. I'm sure. Is there maybe just in a minute or so that you could share the first growth channel after you had successfully helped that customer and they were happy and they were willing to refer you? What was one of the first growth channels that worked for you?
So in our case, given our target market, customer base, and the offering, our growth channels has been actually quite simple. One is simple direct selling, having a field sales team that will just go knock on the doors and sell it. And second big one that has developed over the years is partner channel, working with some of the largest system integrators in the world and technology companies like SuccessFactors, SAP, and with them as a partner has really helped us scale our business.
That's really cool. That challenge is more easily solved than the pitch market fit, product market fit, and then the channels, if you have a great product, are more clear. You were just doing blocking and tackling with a sales team.
And the last one I would say is in each market, there are influencers. So in our case, one challenge is that I'm not from HR domain. So you really need to find the people who are from the domain who can speak on your behalf, right? And put them front and center in your storytelling. And that goes a long way.
I love that you said storytelling. That's great. Well, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you. And I can't wait to see the continued growth. And hopefully, just really cool. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
That's a wrap. Thanks for listening. Make sure to subscribe on Apple, Spotify, and Google. If you want to learn more about Zendesk for Startups and our free offer, please check out our website at zendesk.com/startups.